Can I, a Christian, really build significant wealth in just 5 years? I'm about to find out.
Picture this. You're sitting in church on a Sunday morning, and the pastor says something like, "Be a good steward of what God has given you." And you nod. You agree completely. But on the drive home, a quiet, uncomfortable thought creeps in. You have no idea if you're actually doing that. Because nobody taught you what stewardship actually looks like in a bank account. You tithe, you avoid debt when you can, you don't spend recklessly, but your savings are barely growing. Your financial future feels foggy. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you wonder, is building wealth even something God wants for me? Here's what most Christians don't realize. The Bible talks about money more than almost any other topic. Over 2,300 verses. And the message isn't that wealth is evil. The message is that money is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used wisely or wasted. If you're a Christian who wants to build real wealth without compromising your faith, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Let's get into it. Let's start with the first uncomfortable truth. Most Christians are great at giving, but terrible at growing. Tithing, generosity, supporting the church, those habits are strong. But building personal wealth, that's where things get fuzzy. And part of the reason is a quiet belief that wanting more money is somehow selfish or unspiritual. But here's the thing. Proverbs 13:22 says, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children." That's not a verse about getting by. That's a verse about generational wealth. God isn't calling you to survive. He's calling you to build something lasting. So let's talk about how to actually do that in the next 5 years. Step 1, treat your income like a stewardship, not a salary. Most people think of their paycheck as money they earned. Biblically, it's money you've been entrusted with. That's a completely different mindset, and it changes everything. When you see income as a stewardship, wasting it feels different. Spending $200 on things you don't remember buying feels different. Here's what this looks like practically. Before you spend a single dollar, assign every dollar a purpose. Giving first, then I need it, then savings and investing, then I want to. In that order, not the reverse. This structure actually mirrors the financial habits of many long-term wealth builders. Intentional allocation before emotional spending. Step 2, get debt out of your life. Proverbs 22:20 says the borrower is a slave to the lender. And if you've ever carried a credit card balance, you know exactly what that feels like. Debt is the single biggest wealth killer for Christian families because every dollar going toward interest is a dollar not going toward your future. Here's the math. The average American carries about $6,000 in credit card debt. At a typical 20% interest rate, that's $1,200 per year just in interest, money that builds nothing. Over 5 years, that's $6,000 completely gone. Now imagine if that same $1,200 per year was invested instead. At 8% annual growth, over 5 years, you'd have roughly $7,500. Same dollars, completely different outcome. Eliminating debt doesn't just feel like freedom. It mathematically accelerates everything else. Step 3, build an emergency fund with intention. Most financial emergencies don't come from bad decisions. They come from life. A car breaks down. A medical bill arrives. A job gets cut. And when you have no financial cushion, one unexpected problem forces you into more debt, which sets everything back. 3 to 6 months of living expenses in savings. That's the target. Not invested, not tied up, just sitting there quietly, doing one job, protecting everything else you're building. Think of it as financial wisdom, not just financial strategy. Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil." In modern terms, build the reserve before you need it. Step 4, invest consistently and think long term. Here's what most people don't realize. Early in your wealth building journey, the amount you invest matters less than the habit of investing.
Starting with $200 a month consistently beats starting with $2,000 once and stopping. Let's look at the numbers. If you invest $500 per month starting today, and the market averages 8% annually, in 5 years, you'd have roughly $36,000. But here's the part most people miss. You only contributed $30,000. The rest came from growth. And the longer you stay in, the more dramatic that gap becomes. After 20 years at the same rate, you'd have over $290,000 from the same $500 monthly habit. For most Christians building wealth, simple, broad market index funds are a strong starting point. Low cost, diversified, and historically reliable over long periods. You don't need complicated strategies, you need consistency. Step 5. Grow your income on purpose. Here's the final piece, and honestly the most underestimated one. In the first 5 years of wealth building, your greatest financial asset isn't your investments, it's your earning ability. Improving a skill, switching to a higher paying role, or building a small side income can change your trajectory completely.
Data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows workers who strategically change jobs increase their salary by 10 to 20% on average. Do that twice in 5 years, and you've potentially added hundreds of thousands of dollars in lifetime earning power. And as a Christian, using your God-given talents to create more value isn't greedy, it's stewardship. So here's the 5-year roadmap. First, shift your mindset. Income is a stewardship, not just a salary. Second, eliminate debt aggressively. Third, build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Fourth, invest consistently, every single month. Fifth, grow your income intentionally. Here's the truth most people eventually learn. Wealth built on biblical principles doesn't just change your bank account. It changes your family. It changes your generosity. It changes what you're able to give back. 5 years from now is coming regardless. The only question is whether you'll be in the same place or somewhere completely different. If this video helped you think about wealth and faith differently, make sure to hit subscribe. And I'm curious, do you feel like your faith and your finances are aligned right now? Let me know in the comments.